get a couple of kills so that they could hit a counter, but it was just too long for them to actually get any map positioning.
And we kind of heard this in the interviews as well, where all of a sudden we're starting to see our teams really find this investment in towards winning the mid before you do anything. Well, R8 quickly off the jump will send 4 players right on through. Sweeze, tough fight with Nounsy, who's able to take down 2, and now all of a sudden Fnatic once again putting some extra pressure towards R8, who are spawning just north side of the flag.
Yeah, Fnatic are attempting a more heavy push on the right-hand side here, encouraging a tunnel spawn here to see if they can maybe collapse onto them, but R8, again, defensively are solid.
Yeah.
They have a good strategy of implementing here where they will go inside the house and make sure there is someone to watch that flagpole and ideally get an easy amount of damage with either a grenade or just free shots.
Now, Fnatic will be right in front of the chalet on their side of the map. Fox at mid, able to take down Nounsy. So here we go. Maybe an opportunity, but denied by Accept. Counter snipe in. Lucky also following through with that. Allows Fnatic to once again kind of get some at least forward control as Lucky will take down another. Now it's just down to finding Sweeze, and that shoulder will not work out. Fnatic with 3 down, make their move.
Again, it's going to be a heavy push. All 4 members of Fnatic heading through the middle and the right.
Nice EFD.
Nothing onto the tunnel. And they're going to allow Vox to go on a flank here, by the way. Vox is in the opposition base. He's in Fnatic's base, and there is a chance for a counterpull if this isn't successful.
Oh, but Vortexers up top with the help of Bloomy. Able to teamwork out a couple, but the last 1v1 goes the way of Ager, so Accept will get the pull. There is no one at cave at the moment, but Vox is on position to at least stall out this rotation a little while longer. Has to continue to battle flag carrier versus flag carrier. Vox able to get the first win. Help is on the way, and he will be responsible purely for getting the flag back. Retrieve is good for R8, and this should be our first score.
And we've seen this a few times already this tournament. Just that one player escaping the pressure from the other team, allowing to grab that flag, and then not only being able to send your own flag home, but grabbing the opposition's at the same time. And now R8 will take the lead here, and suddenly Fnatic, for all of their aggression, for all of their map dominance, they're 1 behind.
Vortexers just holding in the middle of the map. Fnatic waiting to get isolation as they make a lot of their move up and over through the caves. Vortexers very aware of this play, playing at this mid-pivot point. Lucky will cross. Fox in a little bit of trouble. And now Vortexers all of a sudden has got a number of Fnatic members to deal with, but lucky for him, his teammates have picked up on all the action around the backside play through cave, and R8 will win those fights and make their move across the middle of the map.
So perhaps the lesson learned by Fnatic here is because they haven't been focusing tunnel at all this half, it did allow the flank to happen, and perhaps they need to have someone who's going to be focusing a little bit more here in half 2.
Nounsy in trouble. Lots of shots over the corner. Shield bubble already spent as Bloomy again just lurks, waiting to play defense, and Accept will try to cross over, and immediately it gets denied. Bloomy was playing a nasty heady. No way to take him out of that position. R8 will find the 2 eliminations they need, and now they're actually using tunnel to start moving with the map quickly.
I mean, this is the ideal world for R8, right? They have been the more defensive side for the majority of the game, and going a flag up now here, they can continue to play that way and force something else out of Fnatic's playbook.
And the thing about this, if you just keep rotating through tunnel, Fnatic have to deal with it before they can make a play to even pull the flag. So now all of a sudden R8 maybe getting a little bit of aggression of their own as Bloomy finds 2, 1 more to grab, and how about it? Bloomy's gonna take down 3. Bubble for cover on the way out. This could be the map-winning play if Bloomy can get to cave safely, which it looks like he should. Agers is the nearest one over. Shots are coming through, but help is here from Sweeze. Can't quite find the second elimination, and Agers will be able to retrieve.
What a stop by Agers. It keeps this one alive here for Fnatic, but can they bounce back and actually find a push because of it? The spawners from R8 are able to shut down the initial aggression, so Fnatic are going to have to wait a second, and they have to turn for Vox. Again, he keeps finding a way through, a slippery, sneaky beaver.
Nounsy will at least allow Agers to quickly reinforce cave side if they continue to want to play from this position of the map. In the way would be Sweeze. Jumping, trying to find information, sees both. Backs up, now looking to kind of find a pivot through mid. They may try to isolate onto Accept, but Fox is the first one to drop. Here come Fnatic, a chance to win the house and maybe get a pull.
Has to happen now. 35 seconds. By the way, Vortexers is doing exactly the same thing. He's pulling on the flip side right now. So if Fnatic do not get this flag back, Vortexers has a chance to just contest things with the own flag of his chance here.
And all the action through mid-map. Fnatic know that Lucky has to play for himself. Everyone else needs to play to get recovery if there were to be a chance. 18 seconds. Vortexer's playing over towards tunnel. He's been seen. Nounsy finds the elimination, but Squeeze is still here for R8. Lucky still waiting for the retrieve to come through. It's tight gunfights back and forth. Agers needs to find a way to win this one. So the challenge does come out. The retrieve goes through, and at the last second, we're going to go to overtime.
We're heading into overtime and a chance here for Fnatic to just try and assert more domination with the aggression that we've seen so far. I love what R8 are trying here. This time, they weren't able to get that flag back in the same way as before, because if you look at their first capture, the flag runner actually ran into the opposition flag runner and was able to win that 1v1. Because Fnatic didn't see the flag runner moving, they knew he was going to go through tunnel, and that way they were able to just kind of all dive onto him at the end.
Well, here we go. R8 will spawn over towards what has been the favored side. Fnatic trying to play for at least initial information, except has coverage of a bubble. Gets a read over towards Vox, who's saying, "Chow me, I dare you."
I think it was actually a good bubble from R8 just to shut off that sight line and not, almost like a smoke in a way to say, you're not going to be able to snipe us from the middle, but now here come R8, they're pushing.
Wow, and it's quick too. Bubble comes through, forces Fnatic to have to take these gunfights first and foremost. Bloomy's already on the way out. It's all about, can Lucky find this isolation? It has to be a 1v1, but Lucky's trying to trail behind the play, and he's going to get shut down. What a set of pistol shots from Bloomy. Can anyone else get here in time? Except shut down in the middle of the map, and R8 is going to take the overtime in map number 1 versus Fnatic.
What a game from R8, and what a demonstration of how the counters can really work in your favor. But also, I love what we just saw from the bubble as well. Isolating that sniper player, not allowing him to take any sort of shots down middle, and then full sending it to the left side of the house, and again, forcing the bubble out of your opposition team. So you say, all right, you use that bubble defensively, and we're happy to push in and use it for ourselves.
Unreal stuff. And that is a quick pull. But again, we're starting to see that right side of the minimap. That's been the favored side through and through. It's just so tough from that back chalet position to get a pull and then exit through either tunnel or a cave. It's such a tight choke point. And R8, a perfect break off, allows them quick capture in the OT to put this one out of question with the hard point coming up.
And it is a very risky play to do what R8 tried on multiple occasions, to send one player on a huge flank.
Sure.
And I think both times was when R8 were kind of under the cosh, they were taking a lot of damage, they were losing a lot of individual fights, and they said, all right, well, let's allow Fnatic to have a bit of space on our side of the map. We'll just send one guy down tunnel. No one's taking any space down tunnel, and we'll just pull the flag and see what happens. And actually, I think that one play from Vox ideally won them the game. If he hadn't have been able to get into that position, it could have been very different here for Fnatic.
Yeah, I think it's a really good call. Other things to keep in mind, Bloomy, rocking anchor on defense. How many times did he save impending pulls from Fnatic on both sides in the opening regulation, both on the first and second halves?
I think R8 are very good at recognizing when they didn't have control of the map and they go into defense mode. I mean, it felt like they were in defense mode for a lot of it to start with because Fnatic were the ones pushing their advantages. But R8, they just prepared. They set up. They made sure they had angles on that flag. And that initial pick is massive for you because then you have the extra player.
Not getting greedy. That's maybe the biggest thing that you can use as a spark note for the side of R8 over that entire first map. Take what you can. Don't cross the line in the sand that they choose to draw. And at times it felt very passive, but at the same rate, they get the benefit of having the first score, you get the favored side in OT, and you take advantage of it immediately. So again, lots of questions in terms of what was the potential for this R8 squad. You got to be walking away looking at these replays as very happy with what the team has been able to offer.
I think passive play can be rewarded sometimes in Fortnite, especially it being third person, the chance that you can just kind of watch someone walk towards you and you get sight on them before they even know you're there at times. And then that initial damage should be enough to get you that kill. But there was a lot of attempts from Fnatic. They were getting creative with their pushes onto the flag, a couple of bubbles thrown down to try and cut off some sight lines, see if that flag runner could get away. Because if you think about it, that bubble goes down, covers the flag runner, 3 players were all shooting at them. If you can get round that house and get round that corner, that's probably a flag cap because you know 3 players are there. Everyone else can then take those flags down middle and then the flag gets home, but you're just a split second away from finding success.
Absolutely. A couple of great moments individually, of course, for the Fnatic squad, but all things told, everything still turns out in favor of R8 as we load on into Panther for our hard point here. First time we'll have a chance to watch it. We, of course, saw the dramatic finish in our most recent series coming down to the wire. The thing about this map, though, compared to Chalet, is that all the hardpoint locations are a little bit more definitive in terms of we spawn closest to it. This is technically our hard point that is ours to defend. It's very difficult to get out-rotated on if the hard point is on your side of the map, but good rotations like we saw from Xset can give you some early favors. So I'd be really curious to see how the team kind of attacking these hard points does in terms of timing on rotation from hill to hill.
And we'll also see how impactful it is when you're able to win one of those hills that shouldn't be in your favor as well. And all it can take sometimes is one big team fight and then a successful setup that follows. And you know, if our R8 can show the same defensive capabilities here on hardpoint, they should be able to set up around these hills.
I like the call, but we'll jump into the middle of the map for our first hill. Again, the rotation is a set rotation. Every 60 seconds, we'll move from one hill to the other. Once we get through the first 5, it'll go right back to the beginning again. So this opening hardpoint, often labeled as a 50-50 battle. Whoever wins the eliminations often comes away the victor of the time, and it's Fnatic who just have to deal with Vortexers, who's, I'll say, done well to keep his life, but cannot stay healthy enough to stay under the zone.
Yeah, Vortexers has to leave and encourage the rest of his teammates to push up and maybe take some time instead, but they did put 9 seconds on the board, so at least it's something. But Fnatic very quick off spawn to use their utility here. Grenades doing a lot of work, and it should be just cleanup crew at this point.
And that's exactly the case, except good nades over towards the backside of the statue. The namesake of the map being a Panther. And that's enough for Fnatic to very freely rotate back in, start earning some needed time. 20 seconds, then we'll rotate over to the second hill, which will be, again, really, really close by. So again, the timings of when you choose to rotate here, very important, especially from R8 Shoes, who do find a couple of the kills to get at least some of the scrap time here. We'll have a dead tie game, 20-20.
20-20, and just takes over in favor of R8 as Accept. It's a nice shot there to work with the rest of the squad as it does move over now to P2, which should favor Fnatic with their spawns.
Absolutely the case. This big pink tarp. Nounsy finds himself on the interior. Vox not tallied. Able to get one for free. And now it's just down to can he take care of Lucky on the outside of it? Sure, why not? And almost finding the quick scope over to Accept. R8, though, able to swarm, find the elimination easily. Nounsy doing what he can to try to keep this in contest. And this is the power of the SMG. Nounsy able to come back through, bubble himself into the hill for Fnatic to regain control.
Fnatic spawners actually spawned a little bit further north here, and it's allowed them to take big engagements outside of the hill and just give Nounsy and Accept the chance to put more time on the board here. As we mentioned, Fnatic should be scoring here, but if R8 can get anything, even one setup, that's a success in my eyes.
I mean, absolutely the case. Fnatic have gotten, what, a total of only 20 seconds on this hill? That is what I would call not just a success for R8, that is a tremendous victory for them as we now rotate to the other side of the map. Top left over to what a lot of people are saying is the Lambo Hill. Car right in the middle of all of this, and R8 will be, again, on the favored side, and they've dealt with an early contest from Nounsy already. This is a lot of free opening time.
Well, good news for Fnatic is R8 didn't get the chance to properly set up for this one because they were still in engagements before it moved across, but now Squeeze is going to be in that hill, and if they can win just one of these engagements, they should get a setup.
Squeezed over towards poolside. Trouble locking down Nounsy, but eventually tallies the Elin. Agers from the front also dealt with. Clean feed for R8. Only one they haven't seen right now is Lucky, but he's a little bit out of the picture as Nounsy tries to set up a pitch with him. Real
question is, when do Fnatic just give up on it? Are they going to keep getting aggressive? Still 21 seconds left of it, so you have to try and push your advantage right now and right here, but it has been a fairly decent hold from R8, a good points to take a lead.
Nice little scrap moment here, though, from Lucky. Able to take down 3. Him and Nounsy now going to work on seeing if they can trap R8 on this spawn rotation. Vox will be alerted to this, though. Scrap time good for Fnatic, so we stay tied. Just as much as we considered P2 to be a success for R8 on the attack, that was just as successful for Fnatic, who have to attack again over towards this Canopy Hill on the fourth.
It was a late break from Fnatic. R8 were almost thinking about P4 a little bit too early, which allowed Fnatic to just close them out and get those final few seconds. But now we have moved over. It is going to be R8 with the first chance to set up.
Fnatic also being dealt with from finding any early setups to attack from the front. Bloomy doing a lot of the damage from the front side of this hill. Squeeze in trouble. Bubble will drop. Vortexers joining him on the crossfire. Vortexers over the top, shut down. Here come Fnatic with numbers, but Bloomy staying alive in the corner. Once again, continuing to be the anchor for R8, but this time too many players to deal with, and Fnatic once again find a break from the front.
Fnatic finding a break, but it's still a spawn advantage for R8. It really here at P4, and they are still being aggressive, but some of the shots we're seeing be hit by Fnatic members at the moment, they are keeping R8 at arm's length.
This has been unbelievably good for Fnatic. I mean, this is still more time going their way. They are technically winning this hard point. Again, we like to say, if you're spawning closest to these hills, you're the team that we're labeling as defenders. But at the moment, it's been Fnatic completely flipping the script. They've done great from the front, and maybe a chance to zone out the rotation back over towards 5, but R8 find a couple of key elims and a chance to contest this early.
Lucky was here quickly, though. It was a very fast move. Will utilize the bubble to take fights against multiple people here. R8 do get the closure on one. We are going to see Fnatic with a significant lead now, or the closest to a significant lead we've had so far.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, again, R8's numbers continue to allow them to challenge what very well should be a zone that they love to see. Fox eventually dropped. Lucky still playing off the bubble, looking for some regen. Has Squeeze in front. That's enough for the Siphon to come through, and he's playing the Assault class, so he's going to be boosted even more, and Lucky almost turns that into a solo moment, but it's Agers to get the final trades. Hardpoint goes open and neutral for now until eventually R8 can get in.
Fox was the quickest and the fastest there, but Except shuts him down immediately, so it's still going to be some time on the side of Fnatic here, and we will be moving to P1 in only 8 seconds. This is such a tight game between these two, and it could be one of those map swingers, right? If Fnatic win it could change the series for him.
And the thing about it is, it hasn't just been a close map because we're handshaking 60 seconds each. It has been everything contested and evenly split between both these two squads as Bloomy cleans up the remaining action over the top of P1. 45 seconds to fight for here, and it's R8 in control for now.
Yeah, this is R8's chance now because the middle of the map is going to be one of the more difficult hills to hold, but they have the position, they have the setup, and they have the angles on a lot of these Fnatic members. But look at the flank here. Oh, it's not good enough.
Unbelievable shots coming through, but Except there to meet it. Now the 1v1 with Fox, who does hit the snipe, but cannot finish the elim off. So Fnatic find their break. Squeeze, good clinger over the top. The bubble comes in to reinforce, so it will give us one last 50-50 battle right over the top of the remaining scrap time of the 20 seconds here on the first hill.
That bubble was insane, by the way, just to keep Except alive, and look how it's going to benefit Fnatic now. They are so close to winning this one, and they have a chance to win it on this hill.
Another EMP, though, comes out, giving R8 a little bit of an advantage. Think about this again. They have to rotate through this hill to get over towards the second. Fnatic spawning close. Will be there with all 4 members ready to go. Tough break attempt on the way for R8 as they try to get their setup.
They did win that middle hill, I would say, and now they have already moved over, and this should be their advantage as well. R8, though, very quick off of spawn to show their aggression, and they've been able to surround Fnatic here, but there are going to be spawners to work with on the Fnatic side.
Yeah, and actually Except spawns on the bottom side. He's going to set up a natural pincher, but gets dealt with very quickly. Trade from Vokes, it looked like for a moment. Lucky on the way in. First one forward. And not only that, he's got help around the outside of this hill as well. Fox up top, trying to get pushed out. Agers running out of ammunition. Tough battle, but eventually Except there to bail him out. Fnatic will get the rebreak for their hard point now with still 18 seconds on the clock.
I think that was what was key for Fnatic here, is to try and find someone who could approach from the south of this minimap so that they could actually get a pinch going. But R8 successfully watching every spawn right now, very knowledgeable of where Fnatic might be spawning.
Going to be a rotation for R8. Again, they had done this before where maybe it was a little bit too soon. Do they get a good setup to read where this Fnatic break attempt is going to come from? All of it from the south side of the map. Bloomy in the hill. Squeeze on the outside. Nounsy looking for some pool control. Vortexers in their way. And wow, the damage is good. Fnatic now have some room to work with.
There is a lot of damage that's been done on both sides, it has to be said. But now Except trying to lead the way with the sniper rifle. Remember, if he can hit just one body shot, that could be a huge amount of damage they can back off. But again, it's bubble usage to stay alive in this hill.
Really good stuff from R8. Just bunkering down. They also deal with Agers, who was trying to set up a bit of a pinch around the back. So Fnatic will all 4 members spawn out from the front. This has to be some sort of a flood, and it's going to be a 2-2 split. 2 from pool, 2 from front patio.
You imagine this will be the last attempt from Fnatic as well. If this is not successful, they'll probably start thinking about P4 instead. Agers does get one, Except comes in to follow up, and it is a break from Fnatic at just the right time. Now, this is where you want to take the fight to R8. You know it's going to be spawning over towards P4 here. You need to move as a unit and make sure R8 don't get a setup.
Just a 10-point game to this point. Vortexers in position from the front side of the hill. Nounsy nearby. Agers also joining. Bloomy inside, again, seems to be their objective anchor. And they're going to try to push out this play from Fnatic, not allow them a chance to even attempt the break. 2 for 1 goes the trade, and R8 very comfortable now in the first 15.
As soon as R8 get in that setup, get in that defensive mode, they look like a different team.
Agreed.
And Fnatic just need to make sure they don't allow that to happen. Don't allow them to get too much time here on P4, because remember, P5 is going to be theirs and their chance to set up properly.
Vortexers was in trouble, but gets the Siphon off. Not enough to stop things out as the crowd starts to come alive a little bit here Fnatic holding on this break attempt. Get this thing back to their lead. 205 plays 203. Vox cannot get out of spawn. Returning back to the hard point. Nounsy finds another. One more squeeze, but the scrap time elimination comes through, and R8 should be good for this back 15.
We're already going to see Lucky on the minimap moving down towards P5. He's accepting defeat over towards P4 and say, let's start setting up. But you can also start to spread yourselves out and get kills in the middle of the map here on R8. Don't allow them to press us early so we can get some early time.
Well, Fnatic, you can see it on the minimap bottom right, they are pushing up a touch, trying to create a very forward line of scrimmage. Lucky there to assist as the fire pit will open up. Fnatic in control for now. R8 quickly, though, off the respawn, trying to reinforce from the north. They're already back in. That's kind of a missed chance here from Fnatic, and now R8 can win the game here.
R8, they pulled out of P4 perfectly there. They moved at the right time to ensure they took map control right in the middle, but now Nounsy comes in, hits some huge shots to ensure that Fnatic once again regain here, and there is still an opportunity to win this entire thing in this hill.
It's south spawns versus north spawns. Fnatic have the proximal advantage of getting here faster, but the full surround is underway for R8. Great EMP. Shuts down Squeeze from his entry. Bloomy trying to force the issue. Finds one. Does he get the second? Sure does. Now it's just down to Ken Vortexers clean things up, and that will be enough for R8 to get back into the hard point. We've got a tie game, 238-236.
It will be moving, though, back to P1. And R8, by the way, already hold the middle of the map as well as P5 right now. So Fnatic need to be fighting for these central areas.
We're not finding any eliminations that they need. Squeeze finds a massive double. Now it's just the final 4 seconds. Lucky shut down from the front. And how about the late game surge from R8? They take a nail biter here in the second.
Well, the analyst said it wasn't going to be a 3-0. This is when we were going to see the game 5, but maybe we didn't see the R8 taking a 2-0 lead here. Really showing dominance at the right times. It was back and forth. You couldn't split them regardless of where we were going in terms of hills. But it just felt like R8 had slightly better setups when they had the opportunity to do so.
And I think more importantly, it's impressive setups when they were the quote-unquote attacking team. They were not just needing breaks. They were setting themselves up for some of the early time on these hills that we label as unfavored for the side that they're spawning on. But that little bit of presence forced maybe a little bit of extra panic for Fnatic in a couple of moments where they don't get that free rotation that maybe they would have expected.
I think R8 recognizing that where the spawners are going to be, and most likely it was going to be like on the south side, for example.
Right.
They were forcing all of their attention towards two kind of angles. They weren't really focusing on the north at all, and that's great knowledge of where these spawns could possibly be, because it's very unlikely that your opposition is going to be like rotating all the way around on the north, because that flank takes far too long and is going to lose you too much time.
I like that. Yep, I think you hit that right on the head. And R8's understanding, I think, generally of their timings, even though they maybe early rotated once, that little bit of extra rotational pressure, it really did feel like it changed the way the chess game was being played. Because all of a sudden you've got Fnatic like, oh, wait a second, we can't really spawn camp these guys anymore in this rotation because they're already at the new hill. So they had to kind of modify their gameplay a little bit. And I think that proactivity from R8 should be credited a lot.
I think it was almost a lesson learned from R8. They moved quickly because they assumed Fnatic would be giving up on that hill. So they said, look, we'll leave one, the three of us will start to think about the next. Fnatic full sent it, and they adjust that 1 or 2 second a little bit too soon. Then moving onward, R8 were like, okay, we know Fnatic go for these late pushes where they try and take control together, so let's just stay a little bit longer in these hills, and they were rewarded with that.
And I think on the other side of that, just to, again, really take the point home, this also stopped Fnatic from finessing some of the scrap time moments, which we did see, again, earlier on in this map. So great adjustments from R8 and a very, very fun hard point to watch. More importantly, of course, at the end of all of this, R8 find themselves 2-0 up, and the confidence that that has to give you going into Keeper has to be immense. The fact that you get to essentially play recovery if you do lose map 3, of choosing your own mode for what you want for the 4th map, gives you a major advantage looking at the rest of the series.
Just looking back at some of the highlights here, and how about the bubble? Well, a couple of bubbles we saw were massive. I mean, Fnatic didn't go on to win, but one in particular where they were able to bubble a player who had taken a lot of damage within that hill. But we also saw when you are under the cosh a little bit and you're getting pushed by 2 or 3, just having that bubble down to buy you time for the spawners to arrive and assist you can be massive.
Absolutely. It just forces a different level of attention. If you think, oh, I got this guy one shot, I could just finish him off later. I could, keep my attention somewhere else, but that bubble comes through and all of a sudden that guy becomes a major threat. So really good awareness and great utility usage. I think that's the other thing that just generally I'm walking away impressed by. Kind of watching over the NA qualifiers of like Xset Dig playing against each other all the time, compared to DreamHack Dallas, XSET's utility usage looked so much cleaner. But now we're starting to see that across the board. The learning curve has only gotten higher, it feels like, the longer these teams play these modes.
Yeah, I think as people start to play them more and watch more and see other teams find success with certain setups, it is just a chain effect where everyone gets better. But sometimes the people at the top, they have to try and find a way to create that gap. So you have to be innovative. You have to start to think outside the box a little bit. And I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of some of the things you can do on some of these maps and modes.
No, not even a little bit. And keep in mind that this is still a round one matchup in this group. We still have a winners qualifier that come later this evening, with also taking a look at what's happening on the other groups. D still yet to play, but that's still to come. Now our focus goes purely into what these teams have figured out for Keeper, our first look for both Fnatic and R8 on the mode.
So R8 with a great chance to cause an upset here, I would say, and manage to find a victory. A 3-0 would be an upset. I don't care what anyone says,
Absolutely.
Right? But for Fnatic, it's about now, can you actually get the reverse sweep? How much time have you been putting into Keeper here to show you've got what it takes?
And you kind of heard it from the interview, both at the roundtable and beforehand, both these two teams putting a lot of focus towards what this mode could mean. Except just playing literally off of a window. That will work. Squeeze drops. Nice shot. As also in the mix will be the elimination onto Vox. So now, except the rest of Fnatic make their play forward. Key's still in hand for R8, but Fnatic making the moves, they've got the numbers.
Get your running shoes on now, Bloomy, or just prepared to take a showdown. Well, Fnatic will close it off, and they will be able to now gain key control here. But this is where you need someone who is confident in fighting. That's exactly what Accept is. I love actually having the marksman as the key holder. I know that we've seen a few teams try different classes to hold the key, but that sniper rifle can just destroy you as you approach.
You just kind of use your teammates as the alarm system, and then you turn your attention to wherever the hit's coming from. So there's definitely different ways to think about it. Not necessarily saying one is right or one is wrong at the moment. We're still feeling it out as Fnatic will get their first lead. And Squeeze tries to make a solo play, shut down by Agers, but the rest of R8 are there. Fnatic now have to find a way to hit this again from the front. And
if you have the key, you want to get over towards basement. At the moment, there's still a lot of holding over towards tower because there's so many kills going back and forth here. But we've seen from teams already in this tournament, that basement setup is nuts.
I think it's just one of those things like, the key finds itself on the tower side of the map, so it's just going to stay there for the rest of this round. Whether that was intentional or not, doesn't really make much of a difference, it feels like, after the opening feud starts to come to an end. Fnatic trying to, again, utilize this bubble, but R8 have the numbers, trying to push out Agers, who could not get any sort of a regen. And that will be enough for R8 to, once again, put themselves in the controlling positions.
And even if R8 wanted to think about a rotation over towards the basement side, the spawns are quite sporadic, and you could be punished by trying to make a play like that. So, as you mentioned, you're almost forced to play a match over at tower, but Vox is finding a way to put himself in a spot here where not only can he do damage, but also a lot of vision to communicate to the rest of the team.
He could lock down the entire right side of the map, and now as Fnatic spawn towards his direction, he's also got an EMP in hand, so he could just use that, call for his teammates to rotate over. Agers also shut down on that long flank up top, so now it's just push out the rest of this Fnatic hit, and you can see it off this third-person view. R8 do exactly that, leaving Fnatic to have to try to come off spawn from behind.
And as you can see, you can eat that damage of a grenade if it is just at the back of tower, and you will be able to get that health back. But Fnatic, what they do well is utilize that grenade as a little bit of an opener, and now they are moving this key, trying to rotate it around to the other side of the map to see if they can get one of the more ideal setups here.
Yep, and that's exactly the case. Nounsy will spawn over towards that basement position. Bloomy on the hunt. Cannot stop Agers in time, but the follow-up is good. And Bloomy says, I'll take that, thank you very much. Escapes over towards the cliffside, and more importantly, he scores more points for R8 as this clock starts to dwindle a touch.
This is the danger, though, by bringing the key over towards this side of the map. If you do not find success here as Fnatic, you open things up for R8 to maybe decide to take control, and they could get more of an ideal setup.
And at the moment, R8 realize that Fnatic are spawning in front of them, so they are just going to hold on this cliffside position. Fnatic from the front, not finding the eliminations they need convincingly enough to really influence Vortexers to have to move yet. Also, the read over towards Lucky is decent, but Lucky does hit a shot, putting Vortex into a world of hurt. Help on the way. Bloomy trying to confirm the trade, does so and collects the key again for at least a brief moment. R8 now well over the 100-point mark and double the score for Fnatic.
If you are wondering, by the way, yes, you can jump off the map with the key, but it just spawns up at the top of the cliff yet again. If you are fans of Halo Oddball, for example, and thinking, well, why don't they just throw the key off? You can't really do it. It spawns back up, and the team that kills you will still be able to gain control. As this one is going a little bit closer now. Fnatic are starting to put points on the board, but only 1 minute 12 left on the clock.
And they have to be essentially perfect from here. 40 seconds is currently the gap, so a buffer zone of about 20. Good eliminations for Fnatic, but Bloomy quickly on the hunt. Not able to find Agers initially. He actually shows up a little bit too late to the party here. Agers has already done the damage he needs. Now Bloomy's caught by himself. Folks trying to make sure they can deny the basement play. Squeeze follows up with a quick spawn, and that's enough to flip hands of the key. Now a chance for R7 to put this one out of commission.
Not only does Squeeze get the key, but he's able to move away from the spawners and right into his own teammate spawn as well. 40 seconds left on the clock, and we're close to that 40-second gap yet again, but Fnatic do retrieve it. There's still life in this one.
They cannot drop it from here, though. There is not enough of a gap for them to have any sort of a buffer. So Agers has to be perfect. Just stacked up with Lucky. They see Squeeze. Teamwork him out. Easy elimination. How do they follow up afterwards, though? Good nades coming out for R8 as they have one more chance to try to get this out of the hands of Agers, who is low on HP, but how about it? The shots are coming through. Agers in trouble. Last player to find around the back is Bloomy, and that may be enough for them to put this one out of reach. Bloomy just trying to deny, and that is enough for them to take the first round.
And the emotes come out as well, just to rub salt in the wounds as R8 now find themselves one round away from winning this first match 3-0. Another great effort from Fnatic, but they just left themselves too much to do in that late game. When you're against the clock, you start to panic a little bit, and it opens up for R8 just to have a full Hail Mary play.
I love it, too, just off the fact that we talked about the key rotation. Getting out of tower side, it gets over to Cliff. R8, though, they don't try to force anything towards basement. Very calculated in, we don't have the ability to do this. Let's just hold, score a couple more points, and you're dealing with a difference of about 6 through that first round, as now Fnatic come back with the fury on their opening break-off, except the first one to really control the key.
Yeah, need more of that from Accept, to be honest. He's been hitting a lot of big sniper shots, and if he can just allow himself to get that opening pick, it could change anything and everything for Fnatic, as they're, again, moving this key north, but R8 are going to have a player around. Bloomy's going to be the first to push.
Oh, and Accept misses the opening shot. Help is here, but it's not enough, at least not initially. Key does get dropped for a moment. R8 not really in a position to try to challenge this, so Fnatic will be able to recover. They also have a couple of close spawns, so they can get the 4v4 that they want here at the top side of the map.
It's a very R8 heavy crowd, has to be said, as you can hear the chants and you can see the scarves, but now Fnatic still have the key here, and this is better for them. They have far better setups, and they're moving together as a unit.
Eliminations are also coming through very convincingly as R8 try to sneak around the outside. Mostly dealt with Agers right there, receiving the hit and dealing with it nicely. So we stay kind of in this mid-tower now all of a sudden for Fnatic. Opportunity to kind of bounce this back towards basement if they want to, with R8 spawning a little bit further down the map.
I was going to say mid-tower is even worse to try and hold because you're just even more vulnerable from the grenades. Although I guess harder to bank them in that middle spot, but Aegis still doing work here. Almost manages to pull out a double. The Vortexers will now clean things up, get the key, and now this is the chance for R8 to get back in.
Yeah, and Fnatic will have only one member spawn up towards his basement side. Nounsy was the one to drop, except has to use the self-bubble to try to keep his play alive, and it's not going to work out. So 68 plays 15. R8 still scoring, still in a chance to possibly just flex this thing further back into the map, but Fnatic do find 2 eliminations. Agers now from the top high ground could pinch this play and get this thing really convincingly in the hands of Fnatic.
Certainly the players that are put on the Engineer, that Thunderburst is so impactful here in Keeper. Seems to be the main weapon to try and get damage with and get eliminations with as well, as Lucky now has the key, and Fnatic again are going to continue to score a little bit further, and they are trying to move this one away from R8 Sports.
Ooh, and Lucky actually kind of loses his double sprint there for a moment, so lots of damage from Vortexers, held by Accept. Bloomy, not fully able to trade initially, but eventually confirms it, but Lucky very quickly gets out of there, and he's now found himself a new battleground to work with. It's over towards Cliffside. Nounsy here to join him, and R8 are not really in a position to challenge him at all. This has been great for Fnatic.
Often Lucky was the player to move early in hardpoint and seems to be the ideal player as the key holder here in Keeper as well, and he's doing very well at staying away from R8, and this is a significant point lead now that R8 are going to have a proper setup if they're going to get back in this game. It can't be scrappy this time.
Bloomy nearly does it himself, but not to happen. As Lucky, once again, just kind of rotates away. Has a spawner nearby. The player trying to contest that was Vortexers, but as he drops, now it's just down to Squeeze and Bloomy to see if they can find an opening to try to deny this tower play. But again, Lucky's just out of there. It's legitimately catch me if you can right now.
It's one of the things that I noticed during scrims is that key holder can really make it hard for the opposition to gain any success because you can just keep running, you can keep out of way, you can keep moving and grooving. But now Fnatic will get at least some damage, but R8 now hold on to the key.
And keep in mind, they are down by over 100 points, so they have what we call the comeback mechanic, which will earn you 2 points per second instead of 1. So this game is not over yet. Now, Fnatic have a lot of comfort built into the fact they only need 4 points to win this round, but there is a chance that R8 can get this thing close again.
Yeah, I was always wondering, would this comeback mechanic actually come into the equation? And it very much is now for R8. They are doing damage, they are winning some engagements, but now this is the Fnatic push.
Yeah, indeed the case. Lucky just needs to find the final 4 seconds. Ager's right there with them. So a convincing second round is going to go the way of Fnatic as we head into the third here for map number 3.
That was so much better for Fnatic, and boy, did they need that to get back into this one. They were allowing R8 to get too much scrappy time. They were taking that fight, maybe being overconfident in some of their individual engagements. I think as soon as they realized that actually we can outmaneuver R8 here with some of our key positioning, that's when they started to find time.
Absolutely the case. Well, the local crowd vibing. You give people free scarves, they'll do a lot. That's all I know.
That's what I always say as a commentator. You give me merch, I'll be a fan. And certainly that's the case. The crowd behind R8 at the moment, but maybe they'll need it after that second round performance. But R8 will have the key to begin with, but shut down quickly by Aegis.
One little mechanic that all of you Fortnite players know, you have that sprint slide in, you connect with an enemy, it'll boop you back, and that was maybe a difference maker in that fight with Vox.
Here he is
Lucky again. Just the absolute bullhorn for this squad. Take it and run with it. But Bloomy, quick on his heels, finds the easy trade, and now all of a sudden there's an opportunity for R8 to take their first lead of this half.
Certainly map knowledge is everything here. Knowing those little nooks and crannies you can dive through, you can escape from, any angles you can stop the sight lines of your opposition when you have that key is massive. But now R8 have not allowed Fnatic to get the lead they did in the previous game, and Bloomy holding strong.
Yeah, I love that little bounce up over towards the high ground. Just kind of keeps Fnatic on their toes a touch in terms of where has the key carrier gone. Not a comfortable setup here for R8 at the moment, but they do find the first eliminations. Agers can create nothing, and that's going to really affirm the fact that R8 can grow this lead early.
The difference for R8, Bloomy is going to be on that infiltrator. Will have that 25% extra speed on his movement, whereas it is Lucky on the other side, who is not playing an infiltrator, who has been the one holding the key.
Key distinction in terms of compositions of the specialists that they pull. Tough 1v1 here between Sweez and Lucky. Goes the way of Fnatic, but Bloomy, once again, out of there. He is being hunted, but he gets some basement control. Maybe there's enough time here for R8 to try to assist, but they lose Vortexers. Lucky 1v1's out low, and Bloomy's able to find the win, but can't get away from this second. Fnatic also find a fadeaway elimination, and that will allow them to pick up the key.
And if Fnatic can take control of this basement, there is a chance for a solid setup now, and R8 have to be a little bit worried. Maybe they've given Fnatic a ticket back into this game, and you've got to make sure that you are quick to shut down this key, and that's exactly what Vox does, and what he's been doing this entire game. 25 elims.
Quick slide through leads to a quick elimination. And the space on the minimap is dramatically in favor of R8. Except, and the rest of Fnatic working on it. But you can see Vox is actually trying to get a little bit of space over to the backside. Bloomy's going to be right here with them, but as Bloomy drops, Vox will do the same. So Fnatic able to pick up the key pretty freely. Vortexers trying to find recovery, and whoa, what a 1v2 win for Vortexers. R8 able to keep this in contest a little while longer.
I really like R8 trying to get this key out of basement though, because think about where R8 found success in round 1, when the game was scrappy, when it wasn't as setup heavy. Don't even give the chance for Fnatic to get set up. Keep this key in open areas where you can take the fight and you can continue to scrap time.
Really cool moment you saw right there where they're exchanging the key to the infiltrator role for Bloomy. See if that movement speed could be a benefit, but not the case. Maybe being a little bit too cute as Fnatic find the 3-for-1 exchange, gets them back into control with still just under 2 minutes on the clock.
So it's Lucky again with control of the key, and now Fnatic need to have a solid setup, and you can see he's just trying to work out where Spawner's going to be coming from at the moment, and it's going to be kind of back-to-back as R8 push here. But sadly, you might just end up running into more players, but it doesn't matter with shots like that.
Oh, and the thing about it, too, is you could give it to your infiltrator or you could give it to your assault player. Every gunfight that Lucky wins, he becomes a mega giant. His health pool just makes him an absolute tank. So off the regen, he will get back to essentially full normal HP. Now it's just down to can he get shields, but R8, they figure out the play pretty darn cleanly. They just need to take care of it, except Announcy, who do a nice job of at least keeping this pretty evenly exchanged.
It was a great comeback from Fnatic, but now R8 regain control here and have an opportunity to win this right from here, because they are working in tandem to shut down every push from Fnatic. They see Bloomy spawn, and they all move together towards their next spawner.
Just over 30 points, the current deficit that Fnatic are facing to try to stay alive in this round 1 affair in Group C. Agers, tough battle, but wins it pretty darn nicely. Fnatic now in control convincingly. They've got all 4 members essentially here, except for Nounsy, who's going to be playing off a bit of a pinch. He will drop though, so now R8 hold the advantage. Vox trying to create something. Follow-up not fully there though, and Fnatic will hold as they get over the 100-point threshold.
Just like round 1 though, there's only 40 seconds left and Fnatic are 25 behind here. So one shutdown from R8, which happens here as Xqueeze gets the kill and gets the key. Now Fnatic have to push. It's got to happen right now.
And what a map from Squeeze. He is at 40+ eliminations. Kind of quietly taken over here in the map. Nounsy drops the gap. Now it's all of a sudden becoming just over the threshold of you can no longer make mistakes if you're Fnatic. You have to hold it from here on out. Agers, tough gunfight. Fox able to take the win, and with that extra bit of time, now it becomes mathematically impossible. R8 Esports. We weren't sure what to expect, but boy, have they absolutely impressed. A 3-0 over Fnatic here in the opening of Group C.
Even when we thought it was going to be a tight affair and we might go further than 3, it still happens again on the main stage here, and R8 have demonstrated they are a real threat in this tournament. I love the way they were able to counter some of the strategies that we saw implemented from Fnatic.
Unbelievable stuff. And the crowd is loving it. I can lie, those scarves are pretty sick. Give me one of those.
How do I get one?
Yeah, what are we talking about here? Want to make a trip down to the venue. Unreal stuff, though, as the crowd really comes to life here in support of the EU-based franchise. And for R8, I mean, again, the story that starts to be built here, a squad that was the leftovers, as the desk has been saying. The stars from teams that didn't qualify through DreamHack. They come together, they make a full team, and they best a team that had finished top 6 at DreamHack in the form of Fnatic.
Well, what do I say? Sometimes the leftovers taste even better than the initial meal. One thing that we learned throughout that game was the kind of learning process both teams went through. Fnatic would try something, R8 would counter it. R8 would try something, Fnatic would counter it, but R8 seemed to always have the answer when Fnatic